So I think we're just going to start in a meditation. We're just going to go right in, get organized with each other and ourself, of course, which is the main thing. So take a couple of breaths and notice how you feel today. Using your breath to organize the bodies, breathing in and breathing out, as you begin to quieten into the moment, into this now. And breath by breath, feel yourself come home. There's a lot of random energy around us in the world. Firecrackers and tinder boxes and little explosions and big explosions and upset energy and emotion. And there's hope, and there's creativity, and there's creative response, and there's love, and there's peace. And all of this, all of these things are living together right now. And you can look this way or you can look that way, right? And depending on where you focus, whatever we focus on gets bigger. So as we focus this way or we focus that way, we start creating this way or that way. And so as you wonder about that, what have you been focusing on these days? And it's just good to check, because you can't ignore the world or what's happening to yourself, right? Or your life, or other people's lives that you're aware of, or our world. And so that's the yoga, right? Two things at once. Staying centered, and looking with your big, wide open eyes at everything. I'm willing to look. I'm willing to hold for the highest good. And not get rolled over with what I'm looking at or reacting to what I'm looking at, but to look and allow then creative response, right, to occur. So no matter what I'm looking at, the end of something, the beginning of something, right, I'm holding for the most beautiful rearrangement of energy around that subject that I can imagine, versus the worst thing I can think of. Right? So how do we do that? It's an exercise, you see, it's a practice, it's a yoga. To practice holding up and out of, to hold and lift the matter at hand, the subject of our right now moment, which is ever changing, to hold for the highest good in our own bodies, about our own bodies, in our own consciousness, and how we live in this world and how we move through this world with a happy heart, even when things aren't so happy, or a hopeful heart when things aren't so hopeful seeming. So how do we balance ourselves right now? That's really the question. How do we balance these energies right now within ourselves? How do we not have a war in ourselves? How can we expect there not to be a war out there if we can't even not have a war in here? So we practice love, right? We practice forgiveness. We practice awareness. We practice creative response. That's the word of the day, I think. Creative response. That it's not this or that and that's all. Those are not the only two choices. Right? Creative response has many responses and ever-changing responses to the ever-changing conditions. So, check in with yourself then. How are you holding these things within you? Where is your own energy moving? How does it leak out? What are your gauges saying about levels of fears, anxieties, anger, frustrations? Where does all that stand right now with you? And don't judge what you see, just look, right? That's what this teaching is today, is how do you look without reacting? I call that perceiving. Just simply perception. I see you. I see it. I see. And then it goes into meditation deep, that seeing, and creative response follows, which is not black or white, which is not my way or the highway, right? Which it can feel like sometimes these days. It's this or that. It can only be the opposite. And of course, there's a great big answer here that has to hold all the components somehow. So our own life is like that, our own bodies are like that there are all these components and all this life force and all this usness, me-ness, my body, my heart, my mind, and all of this I'm managing and blending and healing, sometimes because of the stresses that are occurring, highlight areas that need our attention. So today it's about the breath, of course, always, to use your breath to balance the self and creative response to what you see. Creative response to how you hold and behold yourself. Creative response to how you hold and behold another. Creative response in how we listen to data coming in from our neighbors, from our friends, from our family, right? Because everybody's hearing different things, responding, reacting to different things. And still there you are at the center, in your own awareness, your own safe harbor, your own inner space that you can see from and look out of. Like the Statue of Liberty at the very, very top in the crown, right? You used to stand there and you could look out and look out the city. And so there's this consciousness, right, that sees from above and looks down at. And you say, I see. There's some trouble over there. But that part's working well, right? And you can make course corrections. You can open your own positions within yourself to allow for healing. Breathing now, just breathing. Because what we're doing today is we're practicing perception. Looking at any subject I could say, I'll just drop one in, the president, right? With the ability to be able to behold that idea form and not react in the body, but perceive it. But you could pick any subject, right? Because it could be any subject. Our body's health, drop that in. How does the body respond to that? Your health, your safety. You see, these are big subjects, and every one of them could start a little mini explosion, implosion, right? Any one of them. Money, right? So what are we doing with all this data within ourselves? And how are we managing this data within ourselves so that we're not lit up about this and this and this and this? And then it kind of starts to leak through the cracks into relationships and hot words, hard words, rash decisions, things that are reactive. So, it's all our work right now to stay in balance, to stay in harmony with your heart. So breathing through your heart center now. And as anything comes to mind that feels disturbing to that energy, just include it into the heart, right? Put it in your heart. Put that subject in your heart. And breathe in and out through the heart center and let it unlock from the rigid position it might be holding. It has to be this. It can't be that, right? So easy to slip into that right now, of course. And so the practice is greater. You're holding the posture longer, right? The pose, the asana of perception. You have to hold the pose longer, a little bit uncomfortably, right? And still breathe through the asana, through the contortion, through the twist, through the seemingly impossible situation. Can you still breathe? That's the yoga. Can you still breathe? Can you still keep your heart open? Even when things are bound, even when a muscle is tight, even when the mind is made up, right? That lockdown that can happen. How do you unlock, unwind? Breathing through your heart center. Let your heart center get bigger and bigger. Because not only can you hold your own subjects, you can hold somebody else's subjects, and you can hold all the subjects if you want to, all the subjects of the world. Let your heart keep expanding to hold the space. The heart can hold it all. My heart can hold it all. Om. My heart can hold it all. Om. And when I know that, and I practice this, then I can have creative response. My words can help. The sound of my voice, and I mean mine, just using mine, meaning ours, the sound of our voice can heal. The way we are thinking blesses rather than condemns. And we hold that higher space. We hold that higher space through our big, big hearts. My heart can hold it all. Om. My heart can hold it all. Om. So this is a practice, a big one, a difficult one, a worthy one. It'll keep you lighter on your feet. It'll keep you easy to respond to the changing conditions of this time. It'll keep your head up out of the water, right? So you don't get dunked. And so just closing this meditation by breathing through your heart center still, making it even bigger. To hold this experience now. My heart can hold it all, this whole experience. We were made for these times. We were supposed to be here. Our note matters. And how we hold this energy makes a difference. In consciousness, in leadership, in courage, in consciousness, in intelligence. And I'm just going to wrap all that up under the umbrella of creative response. Breathing through your big, big heart, through your expanding and growing heart, as our heart can hold it all, even more. Good. And when you're ready to, letting your breath get deeper and fuller until it starts to feel natural to transition out of this meditation. Take your time. Nice. So we're going to start standing, and just take a moment to find your balance in your feet. And I'm going to start a little bit where we left off, but we're going to go in a different direction. So we're going to let our legs come apart with the feet slightly turned out and just drop down. So we've been kind of playing with this hip opening position of standing with trying to keep your waist very lifted even though the legs are bent. Now you can bend the legs a little like this, or you can bend them quite a bit. So it's going to depend on your knees actually, and when you're here, that when you bend, that your pelvis, end up tipping forward. You're still trying to stay back, and you're very much trying to take the knees open. So from the groins, you're feeling an opening in the thighs, and you just sort of bring your hands to the outside of your thigh and slightly press towards your hands. And I'm just a little bit, so the baby toe is engaged, and I'm just holding there, and then if you want to, just come to prayer and just holding. Now remember, don't go so deep that you're going to die or that it hurts your knees. If it's in your knees, it's wrong, so don't be in your knees. And if you need to be up a little bit, just be up a little bit. Just find the spot, right? So I'm playing to find where I can hold this for a few minutes, or not a minute, for a few moments. Good, and then bring your hands down and straighten your legs. And that's all, just straightening. And this is opposed to, right, to have your legs open and keeping your pelvis straight. And some people are very tight in their hips, right? So what that means is the femur bone, which is the big bone in the leg, doesn't rotate very much. So what that looks like is as the legs separate, the more the legs separate, the more the hips will fall back. And that's tension in the groins. And so we want to keep, right, be able to let the pelvis come forward and keep your head along the line as best as we can. So the wider your legs are, the harder in a way it is to keep the pelvis up. Some of you, this is not an issue, I know, but some of you it is. And so you're just playing with standing with your legs apart, a little bit wider than they were now, because we're taking a little deeper. And then we're going to start to bend again with our legs slightly wider. Keep pressing the knees back, keep your spine lifted up. We're just kind of warming up the hips here. Good. And then straighten, and then bring your feet in, and then bring your legs together. Good. Good, so we're just kind of getting some opening in the hips to open up the back. If the hips are tight, the back will lock. So we want all that open at the same time. Big wide stance now. Warrior, hands on your hips, right foot turns out. So now my right foot's turned completely out to the side. My left foot is slightly turned in. And right now I'm not letting myself lean into the extending leg. We're keeping the body really upright. And all you're going to do with your hands on your hips is you're going to bend the leg a little bit and straighten. And as I do this, I'm not letting my body go with, if I can help it. I'm just trying to stay really up and down vertical, and just the leg bends a little. And I'm just bending and dropping and bending and dropping. And I can go deeper or not and see how much of a pose do I want here, right? So I can go deeper and deeper or not so deep, right? If I feel like that's enough. Now remember, this leg is rolling behind you as much as it can. Come back up, let's change sides of the leg. Other foot turns all the way out. Keep your body looking straight ahead. Keep rolling the femur back and down. And we're just going to play with this. And if you can see in the image, my knee mustn't go beyond my heel. So if that was happening, all that would mean is I'm pretty open. And in that case, then I would widen my stance so that my knee can't go ahead of my heel. So depending on my flexibility, right? I'll be narrower with my legs or wider. Some of you, I want you to try to get pretty wide though. I'm thinking, Jeremiah, try to get as wide as you can in these. And you're just dropping a little or a lot. And it's just going to depend on your hips. And you're trying to feel what feels right, healthy, right, to your hips as you're bending and straightening. Good. And then come back. Turn your two toes in and then come out and come into a forward bend with your legs probably straight. Find the floor or your block and just stretch. And I'm really stretching through the back legs now. Trying to straighten the back of my knees if I can. And if this is too much to my back in some way, then I can always bend my knees. Again, just take some of that pressure off. And sometimes I do that just to feel more rotation in my pelvis by bending my knees. And then you can play with straightening and try to keep that rotation in your pelvis as you straighten your legs. That's good. Now, bring your feet in just slightly. Bring your hands onto your hips. Push your feet down to come up. Inhale. And stand back. Good. That was good. And then bring your legs back together. Just simple. Just really simple. Just opening, waking up your hips again to let your spine come out of that. So now, facing your chair. So we're going to do a couple rounds of sun salutation with a chair. So that's not the full extension. It's going to be very modified, but I really like it because you can kind of do some of those shapes that are hard if you have trouble getting up and down off the ground, and get much of the same effect. So we're going to start pretty close to the chair, facing it, or the seat of whatever you've got. Your hands come to prayer. Tadasana. The shoulders roll back, the feet press down, and really feeling my contact with the ground. The big toe metatarsal, the baby toe metatarsal, and the center of the heel, like a triangle through my feet. My toes are long in this, my legs are strong in this, and my waist is lifting out of the pelvis as much as possible, crown of the head's extending. And I'm just feeling my alignment here, and when you're ready to, we're going to go inhale, stretch up, arch back, stretch your arms, bring your arms to your sides, bend your knees, just come out, arms come right back behind you, coming long, 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 and then you're going to put your hands on your seat. And I've still got my legs bent, and so this is the first position that we're coming into a very, very modified sun salutation. If this is easy for you, you can straighten your legs. You can also keep them bent. So just see which feels right to you. Breathing through it. Now, bring your hands on your chair seat straight armed. And just like in sun salutation, we're going to take the right leg back, way back, step back. Now my foot's slightly turned out in the back. It's not straight. It's not straight back through. It's a little bit tipped. I'm using the chair to push off of. And then you're going to take your hands on your hips. Keep your front leg bent. Stretch up. Arms up. Long spine, back leg stretching. Come out. Come long. Good. Both legs back. Dog pose. Good and stretching. Then from here, left leg forward. Drop down and through. Good. Stretch up. Keep your leg bent. Arch. And down. Good. And both legs back, dog pose again. Dog pose on a chair. So we're really trying to work the legs straight. Stretching long and through. Good. Right foot steps forward, left foot steps forward, and then just hanging over your chair again. Stretching out the back of your legs. Let your neck relax. Bend your knees, roll up, curl up. We're going to do one more set of these. Come all the way to stand. Prayer. Reset. Feel that triangle between the big toe metatarsal, the baby toe metatarsal, and the center of the heel, while the toes spread and move forward. So a lot of action in the feet. Inhale, arch, back. Exhale, let your arms come out to the side, bend your knees a little bit. You're coming out. Come down and long. Bring your hands onto your seat, hold. And you're either going to stay bent or you're going to work straight-legged and just play today with seeing which feels most useful and helpful to your pose today. Anytime I'm feeling it's too much, it probably is, so I'll just let my knees bend lightly. And if it works okay, I'm going to keep the legs straight. Good, now bring your arms up so your elbows are straight, and we're going to go left leg back. Press. Right now I've got one straight leg, one in the front. Both legs are straight. Then you're going to start from here. You're going to bend the knee a lot. And then this part is also optional. I can just stay here, okay? But if I want, I'm going to come up and try to lift back up into the warrior. And the arms come up. Breathe. Come back. Find your seat. Bring both legs back, dog pose, on the chair. Breathing long breaths. Left leg comes forward, stretch. Drop down, low. Inhale. Open, stretch. Keep dropping down. Lengthen out. Come long. Good. Both legs back, dog pose. Breathing. Working my knees, maybe having them straight, maybe not, it's going to depend. Full deep breath. Good. Step the left foot forward, step the right foot forward, forward bend. Let your head relax, let your neck relax, bend your knees, and just roll yourself back up to come all the way back up. Head's the last thing to come up. And standing. Prayer. So now you're back in Tadasana. Try to relax. Feel the big toe metatarsal, the baby toe metatarsal, and the center of the heel on the ground. Toes spread. Right? So we're talking about your foot. I'm showing on my hand. Right? Trying to make that big width. Big toe metatarsal would be the big toe, baby toe metatarsal, and the center of the heel, all pressing down equally. So and then the fingers or the toes extend out of that power of what your feet are doing on the ground. Okay, so you're just trying to keep that as much as you can. Tadasana, hands by your sides now. Get your center. Breathing into your great big heart, reinforcing that meditation we did. Okay, so here we go. We're gonna go now find a wall or something. So I could use the back of my chair like this. It won't, it needs to sort of not move because I'm going to put weight on it, but I could do that. Okay, but ideally you'll have a wall somewhere or a couch, something, just something that you can put your legs up. So we're going to come and we're going to use a strap. And I'm going to bring my hips close to the wall, but not onto the wall. I'm going to gap it. And it's going to depend on your flexibility again, of how far should you be. The tighter your hamstrings, the farther away from the wall, okay? The freer the hamstrings, the closer. So depending what you find. See, this wall is not a full wall, but I don't care. I just have something to kind of put my legs against a little bit. And I'm just letting my body relax, and let your feet relax too. So you're just sort of being here with your legs straight. And we're going to start by bending the knees and have the soles of your feet together. And then from there, just pressing the knees apart gently. So I'm just like we do in butterfly pose. We're starting to open up the hips, but with the wall now. And this feels nice. This is a good way to practice butterfly if you're tight, because there's not so much strain in the pose as there is when we're doing this seated. So as best as you can, you're just lightly pressing the knees open. And I like to rock in this just like I do when I'm seated. And just see what you feel in there. Try to open up your hips. Let gravity help you. If you don't have a wall and you're not sure how to manage this, try doing butterfly pose, just seated like we normally would. What I love about this pose though is your back is straight like it should be in butterfly pose, and there's less weight on your hips that allow your hips to open a little bit easier sometimes. Now, take your arms up in the air, palms face each other, and just do that exercise we often do where we pull the arm bones out of the joint and then back into the joint. And then out of the joint and back in. When I go in, the scapula lay flatter. And I go out, the outer shoulder lifts. And then I'm pulling them down. And what I'm really trying to do, especially as I'm going up, it's just sort of whatever happens. But as I go down, I'm really trying to pull the shoulders away from my ears. So this is a good side view image to see how long can you make your neck in this. So as your arms lift and lower, the neck is still long. Now from here, you're going to let your arms, still keeping them in the down part of the joint, you're going to let your arms go back a little bit, but watch the side view again here. It's important. So we come from here back, right? But as soon as my rib cage lifts, or I'm sort of forcing my arms down, right? Then I've gone too far. So I want you to think about laying the ribs relaxed, kind of laying flat down here. And when your arms come back, I'm only going to go back as far as my arms can go without my rib cage popping up. Can you see that? So I don't want that. So maybe I don't take my arms so down. Tuck your chin, rib cage lays flat, and then the arms go back whatever much. So maybe that would be the end of the movement. If I can keep moving and not let my rib cage flare, then I can maybe go back some more. But it's fine to just hold it at somewhere along the way where the rib cage is not lifting up as the arms are going back. So this is a way to work safely in the shoulder girdle and the hip girdle. Bring your arms back up and bring your arms out to the sides, relax. So now if you have a strap nearby, hopefully, you're going to take your strap and open it so that it's about shoulder distance. This is a little harder because shoulder distance is not that far. Mine is about 12, 14 inches probably. My arms are very straight in this. And I kind of catch the strap and then I turn my palms towards each other. And I'm trying to see visually if that looks straight. And then we're going to do the same thing. Your arms are going to go out of the joint and back into the joint. And out of the joint and back into the joint and away from your ears because we're still trying to keep the neck long, right? Out of the joint and back into the joint. Now keep them really locked into the back of the joint. And same thing, keep your elbows straight now. And go back a little or a lot without letting the rib cage flare or lift or pop out. And see how far, wherever that line is, that's true for you. How far can the arms go back and keep all those alignments? So I'm really keeping my rib cage laying down. I'm breathing and I really can feel where it's tight in my upper back, which is where it's interesting. Coming back up. Do one more. Keep your elbows really straight, don't let them bend. Keep your chin tucked under. Just stop when you feel like there's some strain on the rib cage. If there's not, you can keep coming. Beautiful, and then come back up again. All the way up. Good, and then undo your legs too. Just have your legs bent like this against the wall. So you're kind of relaxing for a minute. So now, when you're ready to, I'm getting closer to the wall for myself. You're going to straighten your legs up the wall again. And we're going to take the strap around the ball of the foot. Let's do the left foot straight, the right leg straight. Both are straight. And holding the strap without, not as hard as you can, but sort of light hold, just let the leg come gently towards you a little bit. And I'm really light with my reins of my strap. I might not be able to move very far, maybe an inch, maybe not at all. I might be not able to bring that leg off the wall at all. But if I can, I'm just sort of playing with loosening up the hamstring. My foot's in flexion right now. And I'm just letting that leg open a little bit. Good. And then change sides. Just put your foot inside that strap, the other one. Good. And let's see what that one does. And you do the same thing. Now I'm really trying, if I can, to keep the tailbone on the floor. I'm not pushing it though, and so now it's about the distance from the wall again. So the farther you are from the wall, the easier it is on the hamstring, meaning if you're tighter in your hamstrings, it would be better for you to be a little farther away. Not a long way though, but not more than a foot. And if you're freer, be much closer, right? So we're just trying to play with that distance. Letting the leg open a little bit. Good. And relax. Release the legs and just take your arms behind you again, stretch. So I'm still thinking about my bottom ribs that I'm sort of trying to keep down a little bit. And while you're there, just point and flex your feet to release the ankles. And just letting the ankles release. Foot's really in point. Good. Now take your strap again around the first leg, which was my left. And you're just going to catch it again. And now we're going to go ahead and really flex both feet and bring that leg in as far as it will move. I'm pushing through the heel. My hands are still light on the strap. I'm not white knuckling this. I'm just sort of just using gravity to help me a little bit. I'm pushing through the back of the knee as best I can. Breathing, so take it a little bit more in. Bring the leg back out. Change the strap, foot. Flex both feet and the other leg comes in. So now we're just in a deep hold. Push through the heel, make your leg longer. Yeah. Breathing. Visually look at your foot if it's straight to your eye, and then bring it back. Release it. Now the two legs are up in the air now, and now you're going to bend the left leg a little bit. Just cross it slightly, because what I want you to notice, and straighten it again, is when you bend the leg, put your hands on either hip joint so you can feel what's going on down here. But when the leg is straight, you can feel the pelvis is laying pretty flat, sacrum's kind of flat. And when I bend that leg, I want to keep that. So I'm only going to bend the leg so much that I don't lose my pelvis, that the tailbone doesn't pop up. It's really important that the pelvis stays down. And then maybe it's going to slide down more though. And again, I'm just trying to do this without distorting my lower body, right? I'm trying to keep all that the same. So kind of when in doubt, just stay up higher. And if it's easier, you're sliding down more. And all I want you to right now do is just gently, keeping the foot flexed, both feet flexed, just let the leg push away with your fingers, away, and see how it just falls in by itself, right? And away, and it falls in by itself. So I don't have to do anything for that to happen. So the bigger movement is just away. Now the problem here is that you'll want to squirk your hips around to help it go farther, but don't. Keep your hips level, and just a little bit, the leg goes away. And don't push it so far that your pelvis changes position. Good. Bring the leg back up. Stretch it up. Take the other leg, bend it a little bit at first to see and feel as you slide that leg down. flexed, that you're not distorting the pelvis. And then just gently press it away and let it fall back. And away and let it fall back. Don't let your pelvis turn. Away and let it fall back. And I'm just playing with that range of motion in the hip joint, trying to let it open in there a little bit more. Away and let it fall back. And I'm flexing both feet the whole time. Don't let your pelvis follow what the knee is doing. And then back. Good. And then bring both feet down again, butterfly pose. The closer your heels are to the groin, the harder this is. So depending on flexibility, your heels will be closer to your pelvis or farther from your pelvis. So just see what feels right about that today. And I'm gently pressing my knees open. Breathing. When you're ready to, bring your legs back in, straighten them up, flexed. See if you need to change your positioning towards the wall as we get ready now to come into straddle. So now I'm just as wide as I can be. If I wasn't having a wall right now, I could just do this free on the floor, right? It's a little different. The wall is nice because you have something you can lean against. But if you when in doubt, just let your legs open out to the side. Again, this pose could be done seated, just like a plain straddle. But it's different when you lie down. You'll feel much more intensity in your inner thigh, this way. And it comes out of your back more. Don't let your tailbone come up. It needs to stay lightly on the ground. Don't force it down, but don't let it roll up either. So you're trying to find, and that's how you determine the distance from the wall. How close or far you are from the wall is how natural the pelvis lies on the ground. Right? So I'm just in flexion with both legs. And this pose, sometimes, which I probably should be doing, I'll hold for 20 minutes. We're not going to today, don't worry. But sometimes I like to hold it for a long time because these muscles are really big and usually really tight. Take your hands on your thigh bones and press them towards the wall gently. So you're just getting a little bit bigger of a stretch, flexed feet. And just let the legs open a little if they will. Breathing into it. If your legs will come down the wall a little bit more, let them. They might move a little 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch. I'm breathing. I'm trying to relax in this as best as I can. This is not a relaxing position particularly, but as best as you can let yourself relax and just breathe into those inner thighs. Keep your chin tucked under. And energy's been very gripping lately. It's a good word. It's got our attention. And there's been and is so many things that are changing. And so the body will grip when change is happening. And so you might feel this is tighter than usual. And just breathe into that tightness. Don't force it. Just let gravity do it. Breathing the whole time. Flexed feet. And if after a while you can slide that leg down just a drop, then you'll do that. And if not, you might be at your max and you just stay where you are. See if you can hold a few more breaths. Sometimes I'm pressing my thighs into the wall slightly more. All of these things have different effects. 3 more big breaths. Inhale, the belly expands. Exhale, the belly relaxes. Inhale, the belly expands and the thighs open. Exhale, the belly relaxes and the thighs relax. 1 more breath. Good. And then when you're ready to, just gently, slowly bring your legs back to butterfly pose. Soles of the feet together. And gently press the knees open. Well, it's such a different experience doing butterfly on your back than it is seated. And just notice, like, do you like this? Is this a good way to practice it sometimes? You may find that it really frees things up. Good. When you're ready to, bring your knees back in. And then back away from the wall a little bit if you're not already, to about, I'd say 6 inches to 12 inches away from the wall. Okay, and then from there, stretch your arms out to the sides. So I've got my chin tucked under, arms out to the sides, and I'm going to have my knees right together now. And I want you to crawl down the wall to your right. Just sort of walk down the wall, either a little bit, just like this, because here's the thing. I'm trying to not let this left shoulder come off the ground right now. So I'm keeping the shoulder down, and I might just be around here. Some of you are going to keep walking, and you'll see how far that your feet can walk down that wall and still keep your left shoulder nice and long on the ground. And just see what it feels like there, and breathe. So we're really trying to breathe into the belly. Inhale, the belly expands. Exhale, the belly relaxes. 2 more breaths like that. And really letting the knees fall to the sides. Good, and then I'm going to walk back up the wall, all the way back up until I'm back to the center, and I'm going to reset everything. And now I might say, oh, I need to be farther away from the wall. I can tell. The closer you are to the wall, the harder it is to keep the form. So you find the spot where you can really keep your shoulders down this time. Inhale and exhale, and start to walk over the other direction. And remember, just stop. You'll feel where that's enough, and if this is enough, this is where you stop. If you can walk more and it still feels good to your back, and you can keep your shoulder down, then you do that. Breathing. Opening up the upper back, 3 deep breaths. Good. And when you're done with that, you're going to take the right hand into your left hand, turn on your side. And just lie on your side for a moment. And when you're ready to, you're going to pick yourself up. And you're going to sit against this wall. Right against it. Okay, so you're going to come into butterfly pose. Seated. And I've got my spine right against it. Now I am against the wall, right all the way onto the wall. And I'm just keeping my shoulders against the wall and my back against the wall. And breathe. Everything I just showed in theory you could do, you know, freestanding, like the butterfly pose could have been done like this the whole time, right? But there's a different gravity that happens when you have your legs up the wall. It's also really good for your knees to have your legs up the wall, and good for different issues in your legs like varicose veins or edema, things where there's compression or swelling or inflammation in the back of the legs. All these poses really are good to do with your legs up the wall. And there's lots and lots of poses you can do like this. So right now I'm just letting my spine stay really straight. Shoulders back. And I'm trying to relax here as best I can. So I'm just trying to relax everything. And then you're going to take your arms out straight again like we did on the floor. And you're going to let them come out of the joint and then back into the wall. And away from you and back into the wall. And away from you and back into the wall, both of them. And then try to lift them. So here's all the same problems. Right, we go up. And I can feel like there's my end. I really feel my spine stretching so much right now. Really straight arms, and then bring them down. Exhale, bring your hands onto your knees and gently press them down and just stretch. To open up the joint of the hips a little more. And see how that's all feeling in there. Stretch. Yeah. Just be light, not forcing anything, but what I'm doing is I'm just feeling there's some play in there. Some play, and I'm just feeling what that play is, but I'm not trying to jam into that play. I'm just letting it open as it will. And breathe. Main thing is to breathe, right? Just keep that breath fluid. Good. Wasn't it nice against the wall? Because you could stay here a little longer than you could normally. When you're ready to now from here, you're going to take your right leg out in front of you, keeping your left leg bent. And I'm going to still be on this wall for right now. And I've got my front foot really flexed, toes spread, spine straight against the wall. And this is a good pose too to just practice. Can I keep my back straight? You know, and you'll feel different points of achiness in your spine as you really are. Tailbone on the wall, middle back on the wall, head against the wall, right? Sometimes you can't get your head against the wall because of the forward head carriage that's here, right? So it can be really hard where your head's forward and you kind of have to go like this to get your head back, and you're trying to figure out, how do I get my head back and my spine back, right? Good. I'm breathing, and I'm really keeping this leg relaxing to drop down, letting it fall down to the side a little bit. I can use a block under it too. If I have any issue in my knee, I can just support it. All these ways of working are really nice. Okay, and breathe. Now we're going to change sides. The other leg goes out. The other leg comes in. And I'm really keeping that tailbone right against the wall now. Best I can. Shoulders back, head back, flexed feet. Both feet are flexed on this. I'm breathing, and I'm just gently pressing and seeing if there's any play. There might be, there might not be. I'm not trying to make there be play, I'm just seeing if there is. And just playing with the edges of my pose, keeping the front foot really flexed, activated, spine straight against the wall. Right, good. Really good, good. That's nice. And then go ahead and cross both legs and put your hips right against the wall, like actually aim your tailbone into the wall, which hopefully you've gotten. If you don't, you're just doing this free sitting. And same thing, sitting up straight, and see how that feels. How are you as you're lifting up and your shoulders are pinned back? Let's do this. So now you're going to take your arms. This is W with a wall. It's not an easy pose. So I want you to try to, see how my elbows are below my shoulders? So they're even with the shoulders. They're going to be lower, like down here. So you see that angle? I want my elbows to be wide like that. And then I'm going to take my arms and pull them a little bit till they stop. And I can really feel that in the joint. Don't force this. This is a big, big pose. Keep your bottom ribs quiet against the wall. If you can, bring them down, rest. We're going to do that again in a second. So this part of the rib cage, right, I'm trying to feel, how do I get that better on the wall? Smooth my spine up. Let my elbows open just slightly. Have the elbows touching the wall. Don't let the rib cage push out, right? I'm keeping that against the wall. And this gently. Let the arms pull back. W. W is a really hard pose, and you can really feel where the problem is in the shoulder joint in this. Someday the palms land on the wall, or the back of the hands do, in theory, right? And good, and release and let them rest. And woo, see how big of a pose that is? It's not an easy one. Change your cross of your legs now, so your other legs in front, other legs under. And come back again, push your tailbone into the wall. Sit up straight, stream the spine straight. And take a breath there and just see how this side is. It's just different. This cross is a little bit different than the other. And now you're going to take your arms out and squeeze the arm bones back and stretch them out and pull them back. And my spine is constantly on the wall, including the back of my head. And out and squeeze back, hold, and then take them up. Stretch, opening up the spine, full deep breathing, stretch, up, 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 up. Good, this is a big spine class. Good, and down, and bring your arms down by your sides, stretch. Now, finally, try this. Take your block, okay? So the block in this shape, not this one and not that one, right? But this one. So it looks like this. Then I'm going to put it right behind my upper back. And now my tailbone is kind of behind me, trying to go into the wall, but not. It's not going to touch the wall quite, almost does though. And then I've got my block just hitting me right in the middle of my upper back. And then we're going to take our arms forward. I don't know if you can see that block behind me, but there it is. And I'm going to open my arms around. Inhale, prow the ship. Exhale. Inhale. Open the upper back. Oh, these are really good for back bends. Exhale. Opening up the upper spine. One more. Inhale. Stretch. Open. Squeeze. Good. And prayer. Just hold quietly for a moment. Good. And release. Take your block out. See how your back feels just sitting. Now sit against the wall. Tell me how that is. Not nice? All right, so now it should be really easy to sit up pretty straight here. So good. Okay, so now we're going to come down, lie down on our mat. And from here, we're going to roll on our back and bring our knees into the chest and just rocking side to side. And your chin's tucked under in this. And just stretching out your lower back a little bit. Stretch your arms out to the sides. We did this on the wall. Now we're going to do it just free. Big breath, inhale. And exhale your knees to the right. Now we're going to maybe a little bit work with keeping that left shoulder down. And if it needs to come up, let it, okay? But if you can keep it down, do. And breathing. Inhale, the belly expands. Exhale, the belly relaxes. When you're ready to, come back up, inhale. Stretch up, really spread your arms, inhale. And exhale, the opposite side. Moving over and then really stretching. That top arm, that right arm really stretches out. Breathing long breaths. Full deep breaths. Nice. And then come back up, bring your knees back in, and just rocking on your lower back again. Bring your feet to the floor, flat-legged. And then from here with your palms by your sides, we're just going to do one bridge pose just to do one. A lot of times I work in bridge pose for different reasons, in different ways. Some days I work this way on my toes. Some day I work on my heels. Some days it's Tadasana feet, right? Everything equal. Today I want you to think of working more, at least for this one, on your heels. This is really good for people that get knee pain in bridge pose. And also, the closer your feet are, the more likely the knees are going to get pinched. So you might need to move them forward a little bit. You know, you can even go a lot forward, but be on your heels. But I like to bring them in just kind of where they naturally land, and then I work them there. So when you're ready to, start to go up. And you'll see that's a whole different experience of bridge pose when you really keep your feet off the ground in this. You're just stretching up, and then roll your spine down. That's enough just to sort of feel the difference of when you are on your heels, and if you didn't feel that in your knees so much. Now, just regular bridge pose, not on your toes, not on your heels, just Tadasana feet. Tuck your pelvis and come up, and going up into bridge, proper, and heels press down, ball of the foot presses down, toes spread out, Tadasana feet. Full deep breath, then release your hands and roll your spine down. If you felt knee pain in that, then that means either your heels are too close to your body, right, too close, or you need to get that uplift, or both. So you can play with this. The final way we're going to do bridge today is we're going to use our block. So we're going to put our block long ways and low between our feet to start. So I've just got my feet wrapped around the block right now. I'm kind of squeezing it. And then I'm going to put my feet on the block. Okay, so come on. And then when you're ready to, one more time, bridge pose on a block. And just some people really love this. If you've got short legs, this feels really good because you can get into your upper back a little more. And breathing, get more into that between your shoulder blades. Couple breaths more. Good, release, drop your hands. Roll your spine down. One vertebrae at a time. And when you're all the way down and your tailbone touches, then move your block out and stretch one leg out and then the other for final relaxation. So, if you want to, you could put your feet on your chair, right? Or actually your shins on your chair. So you just put the chair underneath your legs. This is a really good way to practice if you have back pain. Just gets the lower back to get into a neutral position. You can also just bend your knees simply. And by simply bending your knees, the lower back goes neutral. And that's why the chair is good, because when your legs are on the chair, the pelvis is neutral, right? Here the pelvis is neutral. As soon as we stretch the legs out, sometimes that can arch the spine too much or create tension in the back that doesn't help. So that's always sort of rule of thumb, is just bend your knees. Okay, and if it feels really good, the legs are straight and relaxed on the ground. Tuck your chin, relax your shoulders. Let your legs stream out. And breathe. And just notice what you notice. Remembering to bend your knees if there's any strain in your back. We don't want that. And these poses we did today were a little bit challenging, actually more than they might have appeared, or that you might have even known while you were doing them, because we can go a little deeper on the walls than you would normally. So, let your body kind of recover from what we've just been doing by completely relaxing now. So the more you can relax right now, the better. Close your eyes. And how can you just melt yourself into the floor now? And especially your hips. Especially your hips. We did a little sun salutation today. We did all the straddles on the wall and butterfly on the wall. We did back bend by even just putting that block behind our back against the wall. And if any one of those things helped you, remember those for in the future, because those are poses that might be your friend for the rest of your life. When I do yoga prescriptions for people, it's usually 5 poses, 6 poses that to do for the whole rest of their life, right? And sometimes when we're doing an experience like this, where we're doing some unusual poses, or ones we don't all the time do, you might discover that, that's the one. And you just add it into your repertoire so that every day, maybe you sit with your back against the wall for a few minutes, or you stand with your legs apart like we did in the beginning, right? But you discover these poses where you can feel that this is good. And partly how you know it's good is because it's hard and maybe sometimes almost impossible. So we're trying to find a way where it is possible. So right now, we're just relaxing. And while you're relaxing, let your heart open. And do that breathing like we did in the beginning, where you're breathing through the heart center. Inhaling and exhaling through your heart center, and feel the vastness of your love, the vastness of your heart space, the vastness of your forgiveness, the vastness of your creative response. As you feel your own heart chakra bloom like a flower that can hold it all, my heart can hold it all. My heart can hold it all. My heart can hold it all. Om. breathing into your belly. Inhale, the belly expands. Exhale, the belly relaxes. Let yourself relax now. Finally, right? Just let go. And you can feel this tension that might have built up through the week or this year just start to unwind and start to unwind and even more unwind and even more unwind. And even more unwind. Until you're back to peace and back to neutral and back to yourself again. Good. Good, good. And when you're ready to, letting your breath get deeper and fuller, gradually. Until it starts to feel natural. You will eventually transition out of this meditation. Eventually coming into a sitting position with your eyes closed, taking your time. And checking in with yourself again now. Our heart can hold it all. Good. Nice work, everybody. Really good.